Sea Striker, how did we get so many cringe atheists and people who think believing in God is lame?
I mean, I think the big thing was... It was twofold. There's more to it than this. But I think a lot of it is just media propaganda. Music, everything from music to entertainment to literature, everything was all kind of turning in concert, and all of it was anti-God and anti-church at one time. It still is. It's just that those institutions have lost their credibility even more than the church. And then the other big factor of that was, in key times of trial, in times of personal durance, the church wasn't what it needed to be. The church proved changeable. The church became worldly. And when people we saw this during COVID, when people felt the ground receding beneath their feet and they were looking for something to hold on to, and they walked in a church, they saw the same garbage, pride flags and support for COVID lockdowns, if the church was even open during COVID, right? It was a moral test and a lot of churches failed. Because why would I walk into a church to get the same gospel I can get on a street corner? Why? Why go there and give them an offering? And I could just turn on my television set and hear the same gospel. The gospel of the world, the gospel of envy, the gospel of avarice and selfishness. The world already gives me plenty of that. Shitty Hollywood movies and TV shows give me that. So that was another factor. So you add that, and it was just like full court press. The media was attacking the church, and the church was becoming the media. It was becoming the caricature that the media had created. I think that's why the current drive to religion is much more confessional and conservative than it has been in the past. There's not a lot of... Even though some of the figures about, like, Eastern Orthodoxy or the Roman Catholic Church gaining members or whatever are really exaggerated, it is true, like, I'm noticing in certain circles anyways, that the drive to return to the church is really more in the traditional and liturgical side. And I think that's because when people looked for comfort from the church in a key time of trial, those mega churches just failed in every conceivable regard. There are some sad numbers about that, though. That, you know, the internet is not real life, and some of the narratives around... Like, look, the Protestant church ain't doing great in terms of... Like, there were figures from the census, for example, relatively recently. I'm going to get away from this noisy watermill. That were saying that the figure was, okay, for every one new convert, how many converts are you losing? Because that's probably the most important figure, honestly, for the church. Oops. And the numbers were not pretty. If you logged on to social media, you would think, oh, the Roman Catholic Church must be growing by leaps and bounds. But the numbers were actually even worse for Rome. In the Protestant church, and this is nothing to brag about, for every one new convert, 2 people leave. That's unsustainable. That's disastrous. That's bowling shoe ugly. The Protestant church needs to correct that. But in the Roman Catholic Church, for every one new convert, 8 people leave out the back door. That's abysmal. That's apocalyptically bad. The internet's not real life. If you were just on social media, you would think that everybody is going to the East and everybody's going to Rome. The truth is, the only place where there's less bleeding is the Protestant church, and it's doing terribly too. And I think it's for all the reasons I just mentioned. I mean, look what happened with the Pope this week. It's kind of the same thing. People were looking for the Pope to give them the gospel. They were looking to hear something that they couldn't hear somewhere else. And what did he give them? The gospel of the world. Climate change and not being able to properly distinguish between a death due to abortion and a death due to the death penalty. And I'm not just hitting on Rome here, too, because the Protestant church has the same problem.